Hello, dear ladies. Today we continue our hospitality series, and I have prepared a very special message for you. We've covered so many aspects of hospitality already, but today I have a really special twist on my message. Our message is going to be on how to be a good guest. Last time, as you remember, we talked about how to be a good host. Today we are talking about how to be a good guest. So my first tip, I think it's extremely important, and I put it on top of my list. And that tip is be grateful. First of all, don't just be grateful. Express your gratitude verbally in any way you can. It's always a wonderful idea to bring a hostess gift when you are invited. Obviously, such things as flowers are always wonderful. Homemade baked goods are always wonderful. Something handmade shows that you have been thinking about these people, that you would like to bless them as they're blessing you. Because being invited to somebody else's home is a privilege, especially these days when the love of many has grown cold, unfortunately. Being invited is a huge thing. So bless back. Send a thank you card after, highlighting the wonderful things that the hostess has done for you. And it will show her that you notice the details, that her labor was not in vain, that she has done something special, and you notice those things. Highlight those details. So that was our tip number one. Tip number two, obvious, but is extremely, extremely important. Please always be on time. No excuses. This shows great respect towards your hosts. This shows that you value their time more than your own, that you value your word. So this is extremely important. And to achieve this, obviously, leave your home as early as possible. The only reason, or at least number one reason why we are late sometimes, is because we haven't left early enough to get to a place on time. So please leave early enough so you can get to the house on time. No excuses. Number three, don't bring more surprise guests or surprise friends alongside you, because your hosts want to spend time with you. They singled you out. They want to be focused on you. You are their special guest. If they wanted you to bring somebody alongside you, they would have mentioned it. They would have offered it. And if you bring somebody alongside you, a surprise guest or surprise friend, it puts them on the spot. Because there might not be enough food for them at that moment. There might not be enough place at the table for them at that moment. And simply put, they might not desire to share you with others during that evening or that time. So please, no surprise guests, no surprise friends. Number four, have good manners. Obviously, there are obvious things such as no elbows on the table, no chewing loud. We know about those things. But I will give you some other specific things that I noticed that are extremely important. First of all, don't scatter your personal belongings around the house when you enter into somebody else's space. Keep them contained. How do you do it? First of all, as soon as you enter, take off your shoes if that is needed. You can ask, where can I place my bag? Where can I place my umbrella? Where can I place this or that? And the host will provide you with a place and contain your stuff to that particular place. Obviously, that's extremely important for overnight guests also. Keep stuff contained. For overnight guests or for you as a guest, check the bathroom when you leave it, after you use it. Is it orderly? Is the towel folded nicely? Use your potpourri if needed. So just keep it as nice as possible when you leave it, or maybe even better than before you used it. And another huge important part about manners. If you're invited to visit the house with your children, make sure you keep an eye on them at all times. And if your children are not trained to be in somebody's house, they're not trained to sit nicely at the table, to be polite, if they're not trained to exhibit manners, then unfortunately, most likely, you will not be able to bring them because they might bring shame to you. So leave them home, find somebody to watch them, somebody really whom you trust, obviously, preferably a close relative, and leave your children home. Number 5. Don't talk too much about yourself. And this is a really big one. Of course, we are prone to talk about ourselves and just lose our minds and just, bathe in the glory of talking about ourselves. This is not the time to do so. Ask questions to your host. Be genuinely interested in them. Do not chatter about useless things. Do not talk loud. I'm sure you've always been in situations like that when there will be just one guest who talks over everybody, louder than everybody. No, this is extremely inappropriate and selfish in many ways. Do not lead in conversation, especially if you're a lady, if you're invited with your husbands. Let men lead in conversation and listen carefully. Do not just pretend like you participate in the conversation and listen, say, yeah. No, sincerely listen, sincerely participate. Make mental notes of the things that the hosts share with you because you want to get to know them more. So next time when you invite them or they invite you and you get closer, you will be able to ask the questions. How's Aunt Mary doing with her sickness? Or how's Auntie John doing with his whatever? So just you make those mental notes so you remember and get sincerely interested. Number 6. Eat what's given, basic as it can be, but sometimes, unfortunately, this principle is not followed. Eat what's given, what's put or what's offered and what's put in front of you. And if you do have any food allergies, warn the hostess ahead of time so there will not be any problems if something is put in front of you and you will not be able to eat it and enjoy it. We know that the food was lovingly prepared for you. So be grateful and thankful. I will bring you a little example. One time I was invited to an Indian house for lunch. And the hostess and her mom prepared this wonderful miniature little Indian feast for me. So as I sit down to eat, I think previously I had Indian food only one time before that. And I absolutely loved it. But this time, the food that was prepared was based on the traditions of really rural, deep in the bush Indian traditions. So I sat down, I started eating the food, and I started choking because the food was extremely spicy. I couldn't keep eating it. I broke in sweat, I was on fire, I couldn't hide it. I mean, it was that spicy. But to make a long story short, I finished the meal. They brought me some water. I highlighted the things that I liked, to be grateful. Oh, sorry, my phone. So I highlighted the things that I liked. So just be grateful. Finish your meal. Be grateful. This is extremely important because the food was lovingly prepared specifically for you. Okay, number 8, a couple of special highlights specifically for overnight guests. As I already mentioned previously, keep stuff contained because sometimes when we have overnight guests, and we have them fairly frequently because a lot of preachers come to our house and stay with us for big events that happen, street preachers that happen in our area, which we have a lot. And sometimes, I walk around and just have to pick up after all those guys. Their stuff is everywhere. And sometimes I kind of feel, should I even touch it? I don't know what to do with it. We have a guest room, so we just keep it in your room, but it's everywhere. And I understand, they're guys, so obviously I don't stress over it. But I'm saying this is a good reminder. Keep your stuff contained. Another important thing, clean up after yourself, contribute as you help the hostess to do things, clean the dishes, help in any way you can, abide by house rules, inform the hostess about your plans. This is extremely important. And that's what I usually do when I am in somebody else's house. I always bring sanitizing wipes with me, and before we leave the house, I go to the bathroom that my husband and I have been using during my stay there. I wipe the toilet, I wipe all the countertops, I wipe the floor. If there is a brush, which usually there is, next to the toilet, and there's always a cleaner next to the toilet or in the cabinet under the sink, I always clean the toilet after we use it. So I actually leave that space, my bedroom, I strip the sheets off the bed because the hostess will be doing it anyway. So I strip the sheets, I bring it to the laundry room or to wherever the washing machine is. So I do as much as possible to free the hostess, of all those duties, like we were not even there. Everything is clean, everything is orderly, and the best rule of a good homemaker is to leave it in a better condition than it was previously, just as Boy Scouts do when they come to a campground. They leave everything in a better condition than it was. So that's what we do. Help in any way we can. Number 9, ask if cleanup is needed after the meal. So at the end of your evening with guests or day or time, tea, whatever, you always ask your hostess, I would love to help you with the cleanup. Don't say, would you like me to help you? Because sometimes hostess will say, no, it's okay, it's okay. That's what I always say, but say, I would love to help you. Let me help you. Be active, roll up your sleeve and show that you're serious. It's not just a symbolic gesture. That means nothing. This helps the host, obviously, and shows that you care, that you're a servant, you're like Jesus. And if the hostess really insists, no, it's okay. If she insists, it's okay. You don't have to, pressure. Number 10, remember to leave early. Obviously, we need to remember not to be selfish, and remember that the hosts might need to go to work really early. For example, my husband wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work every day, on Saturdays too, by the way. Or they might need to put the children to bed, so you need to remember that. Or they're just physically tired, especially the hostess, because she's been cooking, preparing for this time. So she might be just physically drained, and especially after fellowship, she is giving, and she's just tired. Do not linger at the door for 20 minutes, just talking about trivial things for another 20 minutes. No, you're leaving, thank you, you're grateful, and you're out of the door. Don't linger for too long with final goodbyes. And a couple of final remarks for guests, as I call them, extended stay guests. I think the golden rule is not to stay in somebody's house longer than 3 days. I think that's just, obviously it's not a rule, but I think that's what's acceptable. 3 days is just perfect, not too little, not too long. Not to overwhelm the hosts too much. And again, that's what I usually do. I'm only sharing what I do. I'm not sharing, theory with you. So take the hosts out at least one night or maybe even a couple of nights for dinner, so they don't have to serve you too much and, cook for you every day. Offer to prepare a breakfast, offer to maybe buy some groceries, just be involved. Help in any way you can. Okay, So I hope you enjoyed these 10 tips. Please comment under below and let me know if there's anything else you would like me to share about. And I think we will have probably one more, maybe a couple more messages on hospitality before we go into my new series. And I will keep it like a little secret to whet your appetite what that's going to be about. Okay,